Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? It's your girl here, MJ's Nia. Welcome to the channel. So yes, we need to talk about Gary, Indiana. What is going on here, y'all? We have to have a serious conversation about what is going on over there. So, nearly 17,000 residents in Gary, Indiana remain without electricity nearly 2 weeks after a severe storm battered the area with 99 miles per hour winds. Local utility NIPSCO estimates full power restoration by Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. I sure hope so. So, here's the news articles on them down here. This is this is real, y'all. If y'all thinking this is AI, this is not AI. AI is briefly talking about it, but this is real. BBC, EPR, the New York Times, ABC, they're now getting involved. A severe system tore through northwest India on August 11, 2026, dropping heavy rain and triggering hurricane force winds. The high winds combined with the rain saturated soils caused massive trees to uproot, completely tearing down overhead power lines and utility poles across Gary. Widespread outages. At its peak, the storm knocked out power to roughly 38,000 utility customers in Gary alone. Prolonged. The prolonged blackout has forced, the Gary Community School Corporation to shut its doors, delaying the start of the school year. Wow, the kids are not even able to go to school on time. Community aid. To cope with the summer heat and lost food, residents have turned to local relief hubs like the City Life Community Center and Flores Community Hub for hot meals, air conditioning, and device charging. Restoration time. We already know it's supposed to be the August 25th on Tuesday. I'm gonna tell you right now, I only experienced a power outage for like 2 days because of hurricane. Was it hurricane? It was one of the hurricanes that I went through down here. 2 days. These people went out with hurricane much longer. I mean, been out like much longer than I did. 2 days, I couldn't bear it. Can you imagine these people? They've been out of power for much longer than that. This is ridiculous. So, government action and legal fallout. Disaster relief request. India Governor Mike Braun requested an expedited major disaster declaration for FEMA to open up federal resources. State relief funding is also provided up to $5,000 in emergency grants for affected families through the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. $5,000 is not enough. Class action lawsuit. Amid growing frustration regarding infrastructure disparities and the speed of recovery, local residents filed a class action lawsuit against NIPSCO, alleging that the utility provider failed to adequately trim trees and manage vegetation around power lines. NIPSCO has disputed these claims, citing that its vegetation budget has doubled over the past decade. I think y'all need to put your attention towards the government, and I'll discuss that afterwards. But I'm gonna briefly talk about it. They cut back on a lot of funds, especially for telling the weather. The you can't prepare for anything because they cut back on a lot of things to warn us about weather. I'm gonna tell you right now, before I go any further, we need to prepare because the Trump administration has cut back on so many things, and my biggest fear living down here in Florida, I don't know how to prepare because I just have to be pre-prepared and be ready for it. But if you living down here, you're hearing things at the last minute because they cut back so much on the weather, on telling us the weather, when it's going to happen, when it's going to come, when it's going to form. They actually have cut back on this.
And it's not just the agency that responds to severe weather that's under strain right now. It's also the agency that tells us what the weather is, that predicts and tracks and warns us about severe weather. As tornadoes struck Missouri on Friday, very severe storms also battered Kentucky. One tornado in southeastern Kentucky killed 19 people. The government agency that provides weather data for every weather station and every weather app and monitors storms and sends out emergency alerts for all kinds of severe weather is the National Weather Service. And the National Weather Service in Kentucky has 3 offices. None of them is fully staffed because of Trump's cuts to the National Weather Service. The office that handles forecasts for eastern Kentucky, where Friday's tornado struck, it's short 7 staff members, which means that, among other things, the office no longer has an overnight staff at all. Because, again, obviously, we would hope that severe weather has the decency to only strike during business hours. At any of the 3 offices in Kentucky. There is no meteorologist in charge now. Now, to be clear, we don't know if those staffing shortages in Kentucky had any effect on the ability of the Weather Service to manage and predict and send out appropriate alerts about Friday's storms. There's no reason to think that the Weather Service was anyway at fault for what happened in terms of the devastating impact of those storms. The agency says the Jackson office was staffed overnight for that one night on Friday because of the expected severe weather. Officials, including Kentucky's Democratic governor, say they've seen no evidence that the Weather Service performance was impaired in this instance. But even if it wasn't in this instance, these kinds of cuts just systematically reduce our ability to cope with something as inescapable and inevitable as severe weather. And did I mention that hurricane season starts in 2 weeks? And it's not just the...
Okay, so you heard that. This was back last year. They were giving us warnings, letting us know there's a lot of cuts when it comes to the National Weather Service. So they said this last year. And a lot of people still don't understand. We have to get prepared. We have to be prepared for this way in advance, because we're not going to know anything. And when it happens, we're going to be, I don't know, we call it up crap paddle, up shit creek. I'm trying to say in the clean version, without a paddle, up shit creek without a paddle. That's literally what's going to happen to us. Literally, we're going to be on the creek up here wondering, like, what happened? We in the boat. What happened? So I want to let you guys know that before I get into all these news articles and people coming out talking about they don't have no electricity. It's really sad. This is very sad.
7 days since powerful storms knocked out electricity to tens of thousands of residents. For many, it's still out, with frustration mounting. CBS's Usher Qureshi is in Gary, Indiana, hit hard by the outage. Usher, good evening to you.
Good evening, Jerika. At this hour, crews are still working while residents are in survival mode. Power is not expected to be restored here for many residents until late Tuesday, and the sense of desperation is growing. Like so many in Gary, Indiana, Shatia Hardin has been waiting for the minute her power finally turns back on.
It's been absolutely horrible. At night, we're sweating, we're irritable. We have children to look out for, elderly people.
The storm walloped Indiana last week, killing at least 7 people and displacing about 1,000. In Gary, the storm knocked out electricity for more than half of the city's residents, where 1 in 3 lives in poverty.
It's not okay for us to continually be in survival mode.
Yesterday, Indiana Governor Mike Braun said he requested an expedited major disaster declaration from FEMA. He says losses from the storm and its aftermath could top $5 billion. Many residents in Gary have been relying on this community center for hot meals, air conditioning, and a chance to charge their phones. Earlier this week, a class action lawsuit was filed against the region's electrical utility, NIPSCO, alleging the company failed to proactively trim back vegetation from power lines. NIPSCO disputes the claim, saying it's more than doubled its vegetation management in the last 10 years. Eddie Melton is the city's mayor.
So we're going to revisit what should we do better from an emergency management standpoint. But going back to the utility side, what I'm going to encourage and demand that we start having more accountability.
Right now, about 30,000 people here in northern Indiana are still without power. For people who are still waiting, if their power doesn't come back until Tuesday, that'll mean they've been in the dark for 2 full weeks. Jerika?
Usher Qureshi in Gary, Indiana tonight. Thank you. It's been 11 days.
Okay. Let's read a little bit of these comments. It says, yes, finally national coverage. Now something needs to be done to fix it. It took a long time before this got television coverage. People have been without power, food, water, and money for almost 2 weeks. I'm glad to see coverage on this. I took an accidental detour through there last weekend on my way to the outlet mall, and I couldn't believe what I was driving through. Had no idea that area was out of power and in shambles. And the Chicago Bears want to move near there, so that's too. Please restore power for them, Indiana. Somebody said, you are the first media station that I have seen covering this horrific event happening in Gary, Indiana, which is true. I see other outlets are talking about it now, but this was the first one I saw. And so many other weather events need to be exposed. If the infrastructure is bad, if they weren't really fixing a lot of stuff, because I have talked about this before, that the infrastructure in America is bad, but you also got cuts as well on the National Weather Service. We don't know what to do next. So that's not making that nothing making it better. But the electric company said I don't know. I just allegedly this is what they said. I don't know if this is true or not. That oh no, we did our thing. We made sure that we cut and trimmed the vegetation is fine. We shall see later on, Gary, Indiana. We shall see later on.
We know why they not coming out here though. I mean, it's obvious, you know. It's obvious. Gary is full of, you know, us, diversity. Yeah. Not really diversity, but it's full of black people. Yeah. You know, we the blackest city out here. So they don't want to check on us.
Yeah. They're NIPSCO. Everybody pays them. We don't pay, we get cut off. But when disaster happens, they want to charge us X amount of dollars.
I'm gonna say something right here too. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be real with you. If my lights did not came on the third day, I was not paying my electric bill. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If anything happens with my water, I'm not paying for it. Somebody else is gonna pay for those days that is been off because of natural disasters. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Somebody's gonna help me pay that bill.
But we already paying into this. They got billions, trillions of dollars. We working day to day on paychecks. So yes, they could have did better. They got the money. We don't got the money. They say they supposed to maintenance that yearly. They haven't been out here in a year or two, maybe 3 years. I can't sleep at night because I can't plug my sleep apnea machine up. I can't afford a generator. I'm working on a month salary. So therefore, we need them to either give us generators or get this power up and running. We got a 91-year-old man that lived at the end, almost at the end of the thing. They had to rush him to the hospital. We had an elder lady across the street. She had medical condition. She bedridden. People come out to help her also. So we really need them to work more faster because we don't want to lose no lives if we don't have to. Our governor needs to get his butt out here and see the damage. You going in these other neighborhoods, you need to go through the whole city of Gary.
We do see, like, you know, people trying to give out free food and, you know, just give back.
The community definitely is doing something with the giving back. They've been giving away free food, especially at the Y here. They've been giving out free food to us and showers, hot showers. So it's definitely good that we all coming together finally. Yeah. We just need more coverage for sure. We need to come together as a community and get it together. We won't be struggling as bad as just one person just struggling. If all come together, we'll be good. You know, something like this, they giving out free water, free cakes, and famous people here and stuff. We need that. We definitely need that.
And they were all alike. We have differences. We need more help.
Yes.
All of us.
Yes.
Like, we're humans at the end of the day. Nobody is better than the other person. So we all go through similar struggles every single day. Let's help each other.
We know why they not coming out here though.
I mean, that is the truth. I mean, it took this long for people to, I didn't even know this was going on until Keith Lee opened his mouth. When I found out about this, Keith Lee was the first person I saw about it because he was supposed to do like a food tour going that way. And that's how I found out all about it. It shouldn't even took this long.
11 days. That's how long thousands of people in Gary, Indiana have been in the dark. It started after severe storms ripped through parts of northwest Indiana last week, killing at least 7 people, leveling trees and downing power lines. According to the region's electrical utility provider, NIPSCO, more than 370,000 people were left without power in the aftermath of the storms. That was on August 11th. Today, NIPSCO says roughly 32,000 people still don't have power. More than half of those people are in Gary, Indiana, where Black residents make up more than 84% of the city's population. Schools there are closed. Residents are fighting to stay cool in the August humidity. People are throwing out rotten food and lining up at makeshift pantries for shelf-stable food just to get through the weekend. They don't have Wi-Fi, they're sleeping in their cars, they can't charge their phones, and some don't even have water because many of those in the city rely on electric pumps to bring well water into their homes.
Right now I'm sitting in line for a food voucher because I don't have any food.
I tried to call my grandmother because something told me something was wrong. Her phone wouldn't ring because it's been dead. She can't charge it.
We've been going through hell for 10 days. 10 days.
According to NIPSCO, people in Gary will have to wait until Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, for power to be restored. 11 days. That's how long.
All right, y'all. It better be back on Tuesday. So I just want you guys to see that. And meanwhile, I don't mean to switch it off over, but Puerto Rico has no water. They over there protesting right now because they have no water. Let me show you guys this.
Because Puerto Ricans with no water are now bathing in the sea. Yeah, the water shortage has gotten so bad that one woman's husband has taken to bathing in the sea to conserve water for their children. She has also spotted local businesses setting out buckets to collect water drippings from their air conditioning units. A third Puerto Rican who is 71 years old and lives alone has been forced to climb her roof to refill her small cistern and is terrified she'll suffer a fatal fall. And the worst part is that while they have no water, they still have to pay the water bill every month, or they risk disruption of service when the water comes back on intermittently. These are the real stories of Puerto Ricans living on the island that never make the mainstream news or people's fantasies when they want a vacation there. But I don't like just talking about the problems, so let's talk about the solutions. I did research and found an organization that is distributing water directly to Puerto Ricans who need it. The name of the organization is Rebuild, and they are an organization of survivors of natural disasters for survivors of natural disasters. They're currently working with the Maria Fund in Puerto Rico alongside other frontline organizations like Construyamos Otro Acuerdo, Taller Salud, and Hacer to fund and deploy water trucks directly into impacted neighborhoods. I have put a link in my bio for y'all to support them directly if you can, but solutions aren't just monetary or wants. A lot of people usually watch my videos and want to know how they can do more. So first and foremost, like, comment, repost, and share this video and others that you see about this issue so that we can continue to amplify and raise awareness on this issue because the mainstream media isn't doing shit about it. But most importantly, if you're a Puerto Rican in the diaspora, make your voice heard. We have privilege that our Boricua family who lives on the island does not. Publicly and privately pressuring your Congress representatives and senators to make this a focal issue is important. Because honestly, the bottom line is this: when they pay the water bill for water that they don't get, the least that we can do is pay attention and make noise. No, because Puerto Ricans with no...
So I just want to let you guys know Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. I'm also showing that too, but it's not a state. It's an unincorporated territory of the United States located in the Caribbean sea. So yes, people born in Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens. I just want to let you guys know that. They also supposed to be too, taking care of this country as well. And as you can see, they have no water. I'm not surprised by any of this. The infrastructure is really bad in the United States. I have been talking about this. I don't even think this video is going to get pushed out, to be honest with you. But I want to play this Keith Lee video. But yeah, I don't even think this is going to get pushed out to a lot of people. I don't even know. But this is how I first heard about, what was going on in Gary, Indiana. I was so confused. And I sent this to my brother. Shout out to T and Shade too. She's been banned on Instagram and she's back now from being banned because people who was following her, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, be careful. People who are sub to you and follow you, they will get you banned. So go show her support on Instagram. I'm gonna play this video for you guys.
Gary, Indiana been without power for 8 days. We was talking about doing a food tour in the Midwest because we're going to Chicago next year for our festival. How we going to do a food tour in the Midwest and Gary ain't had no power and ain't nobody talking about it? I, for one, have not seen anybody else outside of Gary, Indiana talk about what's going on in Gary, Indiana. And I don't like it. And if you know me, you know I put my money where my mouth is. So today alone, we've been on the phone with the mayor's office to see if there's ways we can get involved. We've been on the phone with Salvation Army to see if we can get a Salvation Army truck and just drive around and pass out necessities, goods, anything that we can get our hands on. Now, I'm not only making this video to say, if you in Indiana and you know any ways we can get involved, please let me know. I'm also making this video to say, I think this should be national news. And it's crazy to me that it's not being talked about. All the stuff y'all talk about on social media nowadays, everybody got a think piece on everything. Why not a think piece on the fact that communities that look like myself been out with power for 8 days? Gary, Indiana, we will see y'all in a minute. The Midwest Food Tour is officially starting, and it's starting with y'all. God bless you. Have an amazing day. I'll be safe. This is my announcement. We will be there soon. Again, any way we can help, please let me know. We want to show up in the best way we possibly can. We don't want to just show up for the fact of showing up. So if you can let us know what's the best way to show up, I will forever be appreciative and grateful. I appreciate y'all.
So right here it says, as of Wednesday morning, NIPSCO had restored power to 282,000 customers across Northwest Indiana. But more than 83,000 buildings and homes remain in the dark. More than 20,000 buildings in Gary alone have been without power for 8 days. So that's why I question up a little bit on NIPSCO, because you were able to recover power in Northwest Indiana. But Gary is still in the dark. You see what I'm talking about? I'm not gonna say anything because I get dragged. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna let you guys decide what that's all about. We hear what everybody is saying, right? You heard what everybody said about Gary the Gary alone have been without power for 8 days. And this was like 4 days ago. So it's now 11. Okay, the gas pumps did not work. A generator kept at least some business alive, but to power it, the owner of the gas station said he had to buy fuel somewhere else. So, yeah, shout out to Tina Shea, because that was the first person who posted this, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about this, so shout out to her. This is the reason why I'm making this video. So, the question I have asked is all the time, and it's always in my face. It says, I've always wanted to know, does the United States have an infrastructure problem? It says, yes, the United States faces significant infrastructure issues, including aging roads. I know this. I've seen it in Topeka, Kansas. It's very bad. Bridges, public transit systems. Yes. Amtrak. I just recently been on Amtrak. Amtrak is horrible now. And water networks. Decades of underinvestment have left many public systems deteriorating. The recent federal funding has targeted these massive repair block logs. So where is this information coming from? I don't know why y'all do this. Okay, so it's coming from here. This is where I got my information from. This is back in 2023. So this is way before Trump got in office. We've been having issues with the infrastructure. This ain't just started just now. We've been for years been having issues in certain states, in certain cities and towns that have infrastructure problems. So I just want people to be aware of this so we can be prepared, because we're gonna have natural disaster, and that's why I let you guys see that over back in 2025. That's when the cuts were made, where we can't know what's going on with the weather. We're not getting any weather alerts. So crumbling assets and road bridges, dams, and public water systems often date back decades, require billions of dollars in urgent repairs or total replacement.
Ability Office classifies 105 out of 138 FAA systems as unsustainable or potentially unsustainable. And aviation is not even the worst category on the American Infrastructure Report Card. The United States scored a D on public transit and a D on stormwater. Roads, dams, levees, energy, school, and wastewater all scored D+. 9 of the 18 graded infrastructure categories in the country sit in D territory. The American Society of Civil Engineers estimates the gap between what America needs to spend and what America spends today at $3.7 trillion over the next decade. Every American household loses roughly $2,000 a year to infrastructure failures right now, paid through higher electricity bills, burst water mains, cracked axles on potholed highways, hours lost in traffic, and emergency repairs that could have been routine maintenance 10 years ago. If Congress lets the 2021 infrastructure law expire without replacement in September of 2026, those household losses climb to $2,700 a year. So this is the story of how the richest country in the history of civilization built the greatest infrastructure on Earth, spent 4 decades letting it rot, and now faces a deadline that will determine whether the next generation inherits a functioning country or a collapsing one. The American Society of Civil Engineers, or ASCE, has graded U.S. infrastructure every 4 years since 1998.
This is called, also this YouTube is called The Front Page. Go see the rest of this, but I just want you guys to see if we have a problem. I started noticing it when I was in Topeka, Kansas, and I saw how bad the roads were. And I always need alignment. There was something always wrong with my vehicles because the road is so tore up, and to the point where I think it was the mayor or the governor had to come out and say, like, hey, if your car is being tore up by the roads, the city would have to pay for it. Now, I don't know. I never looked into it of getting my vehicle paid, but yeah, I noticed it in 2018 and 2019. I noticed like something is wrong with our infrastructure. Something is wrong with these roads, the buildings. Something is wrong with the bridges. I've always had said that, but then I started making videos about it and I noticed that these videos weren't going nowhere. So this is the perfect time to discuss this because if we have a hurricane or a tornado or a freaky weird behind storm coming out of nowhere, it's going to tear down stuff. And it's going to take the electric company to take a longer time to fix these issues and problems. And I'm not giving no excuse to electric company because y'all put them other people lights on, but y'all put my people lights on. So I don't know. Something is iffy about that. Then it says strained power grids. Electrical networks face growing pressure from extreme weather events and surging energy demands driven by new technology. So it's explain what infrastructure and why is it so hard to fix. Transportation expert Samantha Silver, MPP 2012, said costs and cumbersome processes are impeding American infrastructure projects. So we already know what that is, and it says how infrastructure is funded in the United States. Infrastructure is funded and financed through the federal, state, and local government, primarily with the taxes and user fees. This is why I said y'all need to take it up with the government. I understand you want to go after the electric company. I will go after the too, but I will go after the government as well. And I'm happy that a lot of people are going after the government and the electricity company. There are some privately funded projects, particularly in energy sector, and some are a mix of private and public funding. Airports, ports, and toll roads are often well suited for public-private partnerships. And somebody said, think about Hoover Dam, the Bay Bridge, LaGuardia, I don't know who that is, LaGuardia Airport. These were all built during the New Deal when there was a natural effort to get the American population behind what the government was doing. A lot of people are pessimistic about the government's ability to deliver large infrastructure projects at a reasonable cost. Is this a warrant? Oh my God, warranted? I cannot read. Some of the most remarkable investments in infrastructure were accomplished by the United States government. Think about the Hoover Dam, the Bay Bridge. We already said that. These were all built during the New Deal. Right now, it takes too long and it costs too much to build infrastructure in the United States. There's no quick fix or easy answer. You need a great national project that brings the public sector, the private sector, labor, business, and community groups together to invest in our country's infrastructure. We need to take a hard look at what way things are currently done without our governments and companies. This means reconsidering regulations and requirements that individually made sense, but when layered over years have created a process where a well-intentioned public service can't get anything done. At the same time, we need to make sure that those public servants have the resources they need to do their jobs. For example, state departments of transportation have shrunk over time, and that has real impacts on the cost of projects. We need to invest in our public intuitions, and we need to invest in public servants, and we need to make sure that they have the tools to get their jobs done. Why is it complicated and cost and fix? I'm gonna leave this article down here. It's just more information about infrastructures, buildings, bridges, roads, you name it, lights, all of that stuff. It talks about all this stuff. This all involves what's going on in Gary, Indiana. I've heard stories about Gary, Indiana. And this is what was discussed. It says Gary, Indiana faces severe infrastructure strain following a severe tropical storm on August 11, 2026. Let's talk about Gary, Indiana. Infrastructure. That's what I want to bring out. I'm letting you know America across America has problem. I have seen it. I have seen it here in Florida. I have seen it in Kansas. So no doubt where you live at, please, please, please do your research wherever you live at in America. Try to see what things are broken around your neighborhood, what is not fixed. Because if you have a bad weather, I'm giving y'all a warning. You're not going to know ahead of time when something like a tornado or a hurricane or a really bad storm comes through. Whatever happened, natural disaster happens to you, you need to be prepared for it and be ready for a backup plan. Because this is what happened to Gary, Indiana. It says Gary, Indiana has a long-standing infrastructure challenges tied to shrinking population, the Asian sewer system, and underfunded public works following the decline of its heavy steel industry. The systematic vulnerabilities were sharply highlighted following severe August 11, 2026 storms, which caused massive power outage, prolonged utility grid failures managed by NIPSCO. That's why they're blaming NIPSCO. It says Asian systems. The city struggles with our outdated stormwater and sewer networks that require extensive green infrastructure investments to prevent routine flooding. So this is the article. That's where I cited that from this article. This is Indiana University. I'll put that link down below so you guys can read that. So you can read it for yourself if you want to. I know a lot of y'all don't read, but just read it briefly. Try to read it just a little bit. It said population decline. Gary's population dropped from nearly 180,000 residents as it peaked to around 80,000, leaving a vast land area and reduced tax base to maintain the physical footprint of the city. So probably a lot of people leaving because of this. There's probably no jobs, all kind of things. So that's more information right here again from Indiana University. So all that come from there. And then it says, well, out the way. Blight and abandonment. High numbers of vacant and uninhabitable buildings present ongoing burdens from municipal demolition and I'm gonna tell you something right now. Abandoned buildings, abandoned places plays a key part in this because if you don't have enough people there, and I'm thinking the people left because the infrastructure was so bad. They probably couldn't find no jobs. They probably saw the town wasn't going nowhere, the city wasn't going nowhere, so a lot of people probably abandoned it. And this is still no excuse. Gary, Indiana needs work done to it. So recent crisis and grid pressures, as you see, they're talking about the storm again. This is a historic windstorm, packing up to 99% miles per hour. I was reading that on another article. So it's the infrastructure. And not only that, you're not going to get any warnings from the national weather that the warnings are going to probably be delayed. And if you do get a warning, it's going to be delayed and it's going to be too late. I wanted to add this in. Did y'all remember about the LA millionaires cleaned out by the wildfires and the ultra rich neighbors who were able to escape? Did y'all remember this? Did y'all remember this wildfire that happened last year? It sounds like a lot of people forgot about this, about how they weren't able to get water, and a lot of people didn't care because they were like, oh, they're millionaires, they'd be able to bounce back. But some people like this, they got their home from generational wealth. Some people are not able to bounce back from this, like Paris Hilton or somebody who has more money than them. A lot of these people weren't able to bounce back, but a lot of people didn't care because they were millionaires. Did y'all remember this? Remember they weren't able to, it was so hard for them to put the fire out over there. They just go on ahead and rebuild. I get it. A lot of people don't care, but did y'all remember? I'm going to read this. It said extreme demand took down LA's water system during the Palisades Fire. I don't know how to pronounce it right. So here's how other U.S. cities can prepare. They're telling people to prepare because remember, they couldn't find water. There's a water problem over there in California. Let me play this video for you guys.
As thousands of homes started to burn across Los Angeles on January 7th, fire hydrants began to run dry.
This area is known for having fire issues. So you would think that they would be prepared for this.
The rapid spread, fueled by winds up to 100 miles per hour, was happening too quickly for water pumps to keep up. It shocked the system and those fleeing the flames.
You start loading your car thinking this could happen, but you're going, oh, I'll be back.
Eventually, the LA fires killed at least 28 people and burned more than 16,000 buildings to the ground. 3 of those lost in the Palisades Fire belonged to Joan Zoloth and her family.
My parents scraped together to buy that home when I was 6 years old. They bought it with my 2 aunts. My mother was a teacher. What people don't realize is how much Malibu is filled with those types of people, not just movie stars.
In August, she bought here, what used to be a 100-year-old house around the corner from the home where she grew up. Her son owned another home nearby, both gone. Zoloth, like many others, has questions about why the water system 6 miles east in the Pacific Palisades wasn't able to stop the spread.
If that happened in the Palisades, how far did that water situation go? Like, was there enough water to fight these fires in Malibu?
Any domestic water supply is really made for turning a faucet on and brushing your teeth. Perhaps a couple structure fires, it's going to handle that fine. But when you have so many homes that are on fire, all of those different fire engines and firefighters that are pouring copious amounts of water at the same time depletes the tanks of water.
From a 117 million gallon reservoir that was emptied almost a year ago, to the protection of a small endangered fish that did not impact water supply, big questions and lots of misinformation are swirling.
The kinds of fires that we've seen in Los Angeles are so large, it's hard to imagine that they wouldn't overwhelm the water system in any city, in any urban area.
And it's not just California. As many as 1 in 6 Americans now live in areas with significant wildfire risk.
The hydrants would have run dry anywhere in the world with a fire event like this in the topography where this occurred.
We went to the area devastated by the Palisades Fire to see the wreckage firsthand and ask fire officials and water experts how something like this could happen and what other cities can do to keep it from happening there.
See what it says on the screen? Infrastructure. Infrastructure. So I'm gonna put this link down below so people can see see the rest of it for yourself. But this is a huge problem in America. It's infrastructure. We need to really have a real serious talk about this. I was looking for a story. It was about a white woman. I mean, I wasn't trying to play the race card or anything like that. But I know there was a certain story about a white woman. But I'm sitting here looking. There's so many stories. Look at this. So many stories about people having water issues in their brand new homes. Look at all these stories or currently in their homes. Just issues. Look at this. This is what drinking water in Georgia looks like after the meta centers, data centers. That's a whole nother topic. Look at that. Mold forces family from Tillman down home. Now they want you to know. Nearly 4 years after flood waters from Hurricane Ian, how it is still devastating some people. Things are still not fixed. Our house was flooded too many times, so we're raising it up. I mean, it's all like there's water issues, sewers being broken. I mean, I couldn't believe this. I mean, if I played all these videos, it would be over 2 hours. This is ridiculous. Let me play this one video for you guys.
Jade, thanks. This afternoon, a woman in Santan Valley is dealing with a nightmare when it comes to her dream house. She's disgusted every single time she turns on her faucet.
12 News journalist Kyle Simchuk is looking into the problem and whether anyone is responsible to fix it.
A big home with a big backyard in Santan Valley foothills. It seemed like the perfect place for Journey Davis, her kids, pets, and chickens.
This was just supposed to be a place that we could have some peace after the divorce.
Davis says that peace quickly disappeared when they moved into the new build a little over a year ago.
The first week I noticed it in the toilets, staining yellow like someone had peed in there, and I was like mad at the kids, like who's peeing in the toilets and not flushing? And it wasn't them, it was the water was that disgusting.
Since then, Davis says she spent $8,000 on water softeners and filtration systems. The builder, Nexstar Homes, provided a $5,000 credit at the time of closing. Water inside the house is clear now, but outside is still a problem. And now her brand new pool can't be filled using her home's water.
It's going to be another $1,000 for the water truck to haul. They're going to have to haul a couple of, probably 2 different water trucks in because it's 13,000 gallons.
Davis showed us an email from Nexstar Homes where a company representative said, quote, Nexstar Homes did not drill the well and we have no bearing on the quality of the water. When you close on your home, you are given a credit of $5,000 for water filtration. With that, you signed that you understood Nexstar was not responsible for the water quality. Davis says she did sign that paperwork, but didn't realize how bad things would be.
If I had known now what I had known then, I probably wouldn't have bought the house.
She says several of her neighbors who share the same well are dealing with the same issue. This is a photo of one of their bathtubs. Nexstar told her to contact the well company directly, but she thinks Nexstar should be on the hook to fix the problem plaguing her home, which she purchased for more than $700,000.
And I shouldn't have to be chasing down the well person that they contracted to do this job.
Nexstar told Davis they could provide the name of the well drilling company. She plans to follow up. In a statement to 12 News, a Nexstar representative said in part, the purchase contract states that we are not responsible for water quality. That said, we deeply care about every one of our homeowners and their experience with us. Regardless of where responsibility lies, our goal is to ensure our homeowners are happy and satisfied. We'll be reaching out personally to discuss the situation and work toward a positive resolution.
You know, I shouldn't have to call the news about my water.
In Santan Valley, Kyle Simchuk, 12 News.
So I want to play this last video. This is about the whole United States having a water system issue. This is not just Gary, Indiana, you know, when they have a storm. It starts with the infrastructure. It starts with, you know, how well we are able to survive in our homes when a hurricane comes, when a tornado comes or something, when when something bad happens, just how can we survive? Although with a fire, you have to leave your home, but if the fire is still ablaze and they can't find any water to take it out, that's going to be a problem. So the water is a big issue as well as the electricity. So let me play this video for you guys and I'll get back to the original video. Like I'm stating, everybody across the United States needs to prepare for natural disasters because you never know you never know if your infrastructure in your neighborhood is good or bad. I don't care where you live at.
The States has roughly 2.2 million miles of water mains feeding about 148,000 public water systems. The average failing main is 53 years old, and 20% of all mains have exceeded their useful design life entirely. American utilities suffer 240,000 water main breaks every year, losing 6 billion gallons of treated drinking water every single day. The EPA estimates drinking water and wastewater infrastructure needs a total of roughly $1.25 trillion over 20 years. But the water crisis that changed American politics was not about old mains. It was about lead in the pipes feeding into American homes. April 2014, Flint, Michigan. The river water was far more corrosive than the Detroit supply. For nearly 2 years, roughly 100,000 residents of Flint drank, cooked with, and bathed in lead-contaminated water. The United States has roughly 2.2 million.
I think you guys need to look up for how to prepare for storms because we out here by ourselves. We out here. Look up things like make sure you have enough water. I always buy gallons and gallons of water in this house. Food, make sure you have like can openers or cans that can pop open. Medical supplies, I always try to make sure that I have enough medical things because I have 2 people in this house that I take care of that needs medical, so I make sure that they're stock up. Power. Now, I will say I need to get a flashlight. I have not got a flashlight. I need to get that. Battery operated or a Hank Crink no NOAA weather radio. That is something I don't have. I need to get that. So see, going on the list, I have everything else but the power and info. Even me, I'm talking to myself too. All right, Nia, you need to get that. Secure the yard. I've already done things like that. Clear paths. Yes, this plays if you live in a house like me, you got to make sure that you don't have a bunch of your patio furniture, outdoor furniture be swirling around because it can bust your windows. So you got to make sure that that stuff is tied down. And clear your paths. Protect openings. Close storm shutters or board up vulnerable windows if high winds are expected. Appliances. Turn your refrigerator and freezer to a colder setting. Keep doors closed if power. Now, I've heard of this. I've heard of people say they were doing this. So, vehicle personal safety. Fuel up. Fill your car's tank completely before the storm hits. Park smart. Move vehicles inside a garage or away from large trees and power lines. Stay informed. Know your local evacuation routes and keep important family documents in a waterproof container. I'm in the process of buying a generator. If you can, try to. But if you can't do that, always make sure you have tons of water, tons of canned food. I have canned food right now stock up in my house. My brother like, you're crazy. No, I'm not. I'm getting prepared. Have food that's not going, you basically want food that's not going to expire, canned food. Food that's sealed shut, that doesn't require a refrigerator. So have that in the house always. So that's my advice to you guys because this is our life now. We can't depend on just the government. We can't depend on our local government. And like I say, for me, I'm I'm not playing around with these water and company. If my stuff ain't coming on, somebody's gonna help me pay for it. I know darn well you don't want me to pay for water, and I've been out for water for a week. There has been cases in America where people have been out of water and lights for a month because due to weather, to national disasters. So please, 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 everybody, prepared. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Because we out here by ourselves, all right? So let me know what you think down below in the comment area. But Astronauts, to see y'all later. Peace.